and I'm just going to go like that. If I might put that down there when you put it down. Yeah. Oh, do you know the Deacons for Defense guy? Do you happen to remember what kind of gun he was packing, and was it in his pocket when you were walking here?
Oh, sure, it was in his pocket. It was a big one. I don't know too much about the caliber.
Well, in other words, it was a pistol.
Oh, yeah.
It was a big pistol in his pocket. And Martin Luther King knew
of course
it was there. Well, that's one of the few.
That was the condition.
That's one of the few times Martin Luther King ever marched with pistols behind him, I assume.
I can't answer that.
Or that he sanctioned, an armed presence in his march.
Well, but you got to understand, this was the last day, and that was the only condition that I would walk with them, was that no women and children would be allowed, and of course the armed deacon would be exactly immediately behind me.
Now, were there any others that you know of?
Oh, there were others, but I mean, he was the leader. There were others.
Do you think that he was the founder, the guy in was it Louisiana?
He was the founder.
Fascinating guy.
Yeah.
There's a book been written about him. Let's pull him in and introduce him a bit, because that's a damn interesting image. Had you met him for the first time in the march? Or did you already?
No, I hadn't met him before the march, before I got shot.
You had met him?
I had not.
Had not, okay. I see. Why did you not want women and children in the march?
Well, because I thought that fighting, and of course I was fighting a war, was man's business. I mean, and of course I knew that the reason for the women and children was to protect the men against whites. And to me, that was the most ridiculous theory that you could have.
Wow. And Coretta Scott King never talked to you again because of that, or what was that?
Yeah, specifically because of that. I mean, they, that was a big issue in terms of the movement.
What did Martin Luther King say about this issue? Do you recall? What was his position on it? He certainly agreed to institute that policy, at least in this section of the march.
Well, actually, I mean, when they started off, of course, I wouldn't walk with them because of the women and children. And before they got too far, they decided to meet my condition. No women, no children, and me with an armed guard. I mean, but it was symbolic. I never thought he was going to have to use the gun. It was a symbolic thing.
Okay. Did other people know?
Of course, everybody knew that the Deacons were armed.
Everybody inside did
everybody, period. Everybody in America by that time knew the Deacons were armed and knew who they were.
Well, did they know Deacons were like behind you as your bodyguards in this event? It doesn't seem well reported.
Well, I don't. Yes, I can't imagine nobody not knowing, particularly the media knew. Of course they knew.
They knew that you had an armed bodyguard behind you in the Martin Luther King
of course they knew.
March that he was part. Really? Okay, I didn't know that. I thought I knew the event. I'll check. But that sounds like sort of interesting, fresh new history to me. And did you have any contact with the Deacon founder after that day? Did you have cause to interact with him?
Oh yeah, actually I went to Bogalusa once and spoke, and he was there. I mean, I've seen him a number of times.
No kidding. Great, great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Think of the people you've seen Mary McLeod Bethune as a boy, and you've spent time with King, the Deacons guy, in addition to all these other characters in American history. It's amazing.
Well, frankly, before I got back to Mississippi, the Mary McLeod Bethune was the most impressive person to me before Dr. King. And he was more significant because of the timing. I saw Miss Bethune in 1950. That was 10 years before I saw Dr. King in 1960. But the people in Oklahoma City, where he was speaking, was so excited. And the only time I'd ever seen people react that way was with Miss Bethune. I mean, in neither case could I get close enough to hear what they were saying, but I could witness the reaction of the people, and that had an impact on me that's unexplainable.
Let's bring Mary McLeod Bethune into the narrative, and let's remind people who she was, and let's have that scene of you feeling the power of her
Well, of course,
speaking.
you know, she was the president of the Bethune-Cookman College in Florida, and I believe she also started it.
Yep.
But she was definitely the president. And she spoke in St. Petersburg, and I heard about the speech and went.
That's where you saw her, St. Petersburg.
Right.
I bet I could find newspaper coverage of that speech, maybe.
Oh, I would think so.
Great. Was it outdoors?
Oh, yes, it was outdoors.
Like in a park or a field or something?
Yeah. I mean, if people were, you know, you couldn't get close enough to hear. I mean, there were so many people.
Now, this would have been all black audiences. Would that be? Is that correct?
I can't say that, but I don't remember seeing anybody but blacks.
Sure. A quick sidestep here. When Martin Luther King told you that nonviolence was strictly a tactic, how did he phrase that? What did he tell you specifically?
Well, every time I saw him, you know, I questioned him about that. As a matter of fact, when he came to Jackson, when the Tougaloo students got arrested at the public library, I guess somebody at Tougaloo invited him to come and speak. He came and spoke. The rumor spread all around Jackson that he was at the airport and everybody was scared to pick him up.
Oh yeah, we tell that story in the proposal. Good story.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I took him to Tougaloo, and he and Jose William, and he never said a word. I mean, Jose complained, talked and complained all the way. He thought we were late picking him up. And so we took him to the chapel and dropped him off. And then that night, we went to the event. Well, after his speech, he had a question and answer. And I asked him a question about whether he was serious about nonviolence. They literally threw me out and would not, with all his pleading, they would not let him answer the question. He wanted to answer the question.
Yeah.
I mean, so every time I saw him, which was probably 3 times after that was what we discussed. He invited me once to Chicago to support his movement there at one of his big rallies. And I guess we spent 30 minutes in his hotel room discussing the issue of nonviolence. That's when he told me that it was more of a tactic than particular person lead.
And, oh, okay. Well, let's not forget that he was completely in favor of armed self-defense up until the Montgomery bus boycott, I believe, when Bayard Rustin, was it Bayard Rustin came in?
Yeah, Bayard Rustin is the one that given credit for talking him into the nonviolence thing.
Yeah. Interesting. The next thing I wanted to do, and maybe I could give you a break, was I was going to go through my computer and show you different pieces and parts of the book as it stands now, and just ask you questions at different stages of things I think you could develop with it.
Sure.
Maybe, in fact, why don't I just do that now?
Sure.
Let's see what time. Who are all these ladies with the red hats? Just a ladies' club?
Well, you know, there's a reason, but now I have no idea who they are. I imagine they're local.